That helps both economies.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Do you think that the current economic situation, as you've seen it over the past few months, would it be luring, would it be attractive for any Indian investor, major Indian investor, to come and invest in Egypt these days within this, the whole region actually now is going through a very volatile time? Is it enticing, or, because as they say, capital is coward, it's terrified, would someone from India venture into Egypt at this time, or would they rather wait and see how things will play out?
Yeah, I think the first thing to be recognized is that the quantum of Indian investments in Egypt, and there are about 50 enterprises that are present, Indian enterprises that are present in Egypt today, have a total outlay of about $3 billion US.
Okay.
Now, if you look at investments in Egypt in the non-hydrocarbon sector, Indian investments are amongst the largest,
that's true.
from any country.
That's true.
So we are actually a fairly large investing country in Egypt at the current time. The second thing is that throughout this period of the last few years, Indian investments have actually continued to come in.
Good.
So we've had some of our largest investments take shape in the last few years. These include investments in the chemicals, in pharmaceuticals, in packaging, and now in renewable energies.
Fantastic.
So with investments like this coming in throughout the period, we see a particular trend. What Indian investors are looking for are that Egypt has a transparent and predictable regulatory environment.
Yes.
Because that's what all investors want.
Exactly.
The second thing is they would wish to discuss directly with Egyptian authorities and more with the business community as to what are the potential for joint ventures that can come up or for other investments that can come up so that they can meet the market requirements in a more direct manner.
Okay.
The third thing that every Indian investor will look for is what is the investment climate that is present in Egypt and what are the kind of facilities that they will provide. Because as you know, today India is a net investment exporter.
That's true.
So my corporates today export investments outside. We are also at the same time, in 2015, India was the largest destination of greenfield investments globally.
Fantastic.
So in this particular situation where a large number of Indian corporates are flush with cash and technology and management skills, they're looking for markets.
For markets.
So they will look for which is the best market.
Great.
The domestic investment rate is also another factor that all potential investors look in. But given all these parameters, Egypt has some tremendous advantages that the Indian corporate sector is aware of. For instance, the preferential agreements that Egypt has with the region, with Africa, with the Arab world, with Europe and America, is something that makes Egypt a very attractive
market
hub for investment.
Because it's not only for local.
Over and above the huge population.
Yeah, exactly. It's not only that. So you have 90 million here, and you have
a huge market in itself.
Exactly.
So there are many, many attractions of Egypt. Indian companies have been coming consistently to Egypt over the last few months.
Yes.
In fact, there have been 12 business delegations to Egypt since the Sharm el-Sheikh conference last year, which have been exploring various opportunities. Many of them are in advanced levels of maturity, and we will soon see new investments come in, particularly in the IT and communication sector, in pharmaceuticals, in education, and in renewable energy. Also in some of the SMEs, which are actually the mainstay of the Indian economy.
Would the new expansion of the Suez Canal, will that help the greater bilateral relationships between Egypt and India in terms of investment, or will it only be a transportation channel for the Indian products to pass through?
We have always believed that the Suez Canal is not just an artery for trade, but has the potential for becoming a logistics manufacturing hub. And so if you look at the profile of Indian investments, this is already clearly reflected, because more than 2/3 of the Indian investments are already in the Suez Canal area.
Exactly.
In Alexandria, in Ismailia, and in the Suez Ain Sukhna regions. We have considerable investments in Alexandria as well. But if you look at the investments in Port Said, Ismailia, Ain Sukhna, they are more than 2/3 of the total Indian investments already.
So that was a direction from the beginning.
So the Indian investor always knew that this is a land.
And this came organically, it wasn't on purpose?
I guess they did their homework.
So
but I think there are more encouraging signs coming up. We are very excited that the Suez Canal Economic Zone Authority has been constituted.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to meeting with Dr. Ahmed Darwish very soon, and we will get more of an update on what exactly is there, which I will then share with my business communities back at home. These decisions will be taken by my business community. As I said, the 12 business groups that have come have been extremely optimistic about the potential of future investments in Egypt.
Fantastic. Is there a plan, or is there an actual chamber of commerce between the Egyptian side of business and the Indian side of business, or it has not been established yet? What is the news on that?
Well, we have official level talks, which are known as the Joint Trade Committee. But the more important one, and I'm glad you mentioned this, is the B2B connection, business to business.
Yes.
There was an old Egypt-India Business Council, but they had not met for a very long time. So after I came here, I worked with the Minister of Trade and Industry and with the Investment Minister to have this reconstituted. And I'm very glad that this was reconstituted, and they had their first meeting on the eve of the meeting between my Prime Minister and President Sisi in October in New Delhi. And they are now planning to have their second meeting in the month of February, next month, in Cairo.
That's very fast, like very fast.
And in the interim, we have set up an office of my Chamber of Commerce over here. They're located in my embassy. And we are going out and visiting the various governorates. I have already visited Alexandria, Port Said, and Ismailia, met with the authorities as well as the chambers of commerce to actually excite the Egyptian business community to talk directly with their Indian counterparts. We are now seeing a new movement which I'm sure will bear much greater fruit.
Are there opportunities for investments the other way around for Egyptian businessmen, whether big companies or smaller companies, to invest in India, or the market is satisfied for the investors it has?
Oh, absolutely. As I was mentioning earlier, India was the largest destination of greenfield FDI this year. I'm very happy that 3 of those investments are Egyptian. So we have the Suez Group, which is manufacturing electric meters.
That's true.
The second one is Capsi Coatings, which is going to be manufacturing car paints. And the third one is Bitumode, which is manufacturing waterproofing material. The 3 of them are extremely happy with the way their business has progressed. And Capsi is already looking at the prospects of opening additional plants in other parts of India. India, as you know, is one of the fastest growing economies today. We are growing at about 7.5%, and we will probably cross 8% next year. It's a $2 trillion economy, so it's really big. We have a few people, about 1.2 billion, so it's a large market. But in addition to the domestic market, which is very, very buoyant and expanding, we have free trade arrangements with ASEAN, with Japan and Korea. We are about to conclude it with Australia and New Zealand, and also with the EU. So if you have a presence in India, a manufacturing presence in India, you not only have that huge market, but you have preferred access into various other very fast-growing markets. Because today I believe the crux is on having efficiency and innovation. And India today is the hub for both.
Well, you mentioned efficiency, and that's also a major issue. where a lot of investors complain concerning Egypt here, that the bureaucratic system sometimes stands in the way of finishing business times, the shipments coming and they get delayed, and I understand, of course, the embassy has nothing to do with these day-to-day problems, but could they defer investments? Could they cause problems in the future? Do we need to work on them?
Well, actually, the embassy has a lot to do with that, honestly. I must mention that overall, the Indian investors in Egypt are very pleased with the opportunities that they have. They are in a wonderful market. They deal with outstanding consumers, and they have very, very talented workforce. Indian enterprises employ about 35,000 Egyptians, so it's a very large number. It's true that there will be obstacles in the way, but there's no obstacle that cannot be surpassed. And I think through discussion and negotiation, all that can be taken care of. But what I would like to say is that you mentioned in the beginning about efficiency, and I think there are two aspects of Indian industry that I think are particularly significant. The first is the willingness to share their technologies. So for instance, and I'll give an example. We brought with us in one of our pharmaceutical joint ventures the latest version of the medicine for hepatitis C.
Yes. Yes.
And what this has meant is that that particular medicine can now be made available in Egypt for 2% of the original international price.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Now that is what India is prepared to share with Egypt. The second thing that I would say is that in today's world, it is extremely important to be efficient and innovative in your practices. Our industry has been largely built upon the small and medium enterprises. We believe that the small and medium enterprises are the backbone of Indian industry. And though we have very, very large companies, the Tatas have a total turnover of about $150 billion. But the small and medium enterprises provide that rapid innovation ability, that huge employment potential, and they are connected with the market in a much more intimate way. And I think in some way, Indian companies bring that to Egypt.
Yes.
I believe the conditions between India and Egypt are quite similar in that respect.
For the next 3 years, which hopefully you will be around, do you think we can move forward on the economic level, and to what extent, percentage-wise?
I think it's not good to put figures, but I am absolutely sure that the economic engagement will see a totally new dimension. It will see a quantum leap in all elements, in terms of trade volumes, both ways, investments, again, both ways, capacity building. We run the ITEC program, and I'm happy to say that we have 100 slots for Egyptians to go to India for short-term courses every year. I would like to see a lot more of technology flows. That will happen once we have more of the pharmaceutical, the small enterprises coming in. And I think there is great potential even in the education field. So with that entire combination of factors, I am extremely optimistic, just as my Indian industry and business sectors are, about the future of the economic engagement with, between India and Egypt.
And 3 years is I mean, I understand it's a very short-term plan, but we can see some significant change within the next 3 years, from your opinion.
We have been seeing change even as we talk, because in the last year or so, we have already seen new enterprises come in.
That's true.
New developments, particularly in B2B consultations.
Fantastic.
So I'm absolutely optimistic. And India is gung-ho about the future of India-Egypt relations.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's been a great pleasure. I wish to wish your viewers a happy new year.
Thank you.
It's delightful to be in Egypt. It's like my second home, as I said.
Thank you. It is. It is. Please consider it to be. Thank you so much.
Very much.
طلع بقى يا معلم ان الهند دي مش مساله بوليوود وخلاص على الفاضي، الناس بتشتغل بحق وحقيقي، عندهم نسب استثمارات عاليه جدا في مصر، سواء كان في الاسكندريه، في بورسعيد، في الاسماعيليه زي ما شفنا في حلقه النهارده. بنتمنى وسعاده سفير قال برضو الكلام ده انه خلال الثلاث سنين الجايه هتشهد تطور كبير جدا في الاستثمارات الهنديه في مصر، خاصه بعد افتتاح مشروع قناه السويس الجديده. بشكركم اعزائي المشاهدين، ونشوفكم في حلقه جديده من الاقتصاد والناس.